before it's too late.
And while the woylie and the bandicoot forage through the night for their food, Don Bradshaw's team is also out and about, checking benign traps to catch and learn more about these tiny creatures of the night.
Plenty of bait. We've got 100 traps out there. We'll try and get through as many as we can tonight. We'll certainly do them all in the morning. Hopefully we'll catch, we're going to like 12 of each species. I don't know if we'll get them all tonight, but we should get a few of each. We'll see how we go.
It was a successful night, and they have collected a number of woylies and bandicoots. Back at the research station, the wildlife scientists begin to record their data.
What we need to do with the animal first of all is to ear tag it. So we'll put a
the woylies don't drink much. It relies mainly on the moisture from the food it eats.
We measure its leg length. We call the PES.
What they need to determine is how much water these tiny creatures absorb. They do this by injecting them with mildly radioactive water and then see how long it takes to pass through their system.
The actual amount of water the animal takes in once we let it go. And then I'll get this on top, and then we put the bag over the top.
The urine is collected in these tins, and tomorrow it will be tested and the results logged, and the woylie will be returned to the bush. One of the scientists working with Don Bradshaw is Mark Gukaklis. He is specialising in what is probably the smallest kangaroo, the woylie.
Okay, we're going to release this animal back into the trap, which we got it with last night. See the tags all match with the trap tag over there. The thing about releasing these particular animals is the same sort of techniques with releasing as you would have. Woylies are a fantastic teaching exercise because they are such a difficult animal to deal with. And I think it has to do with their temperament. You only have to watch them for a little while in the evening and you see that they're always quite active. They're always sniffing out, they're always looking for stuff. They're quite hyper. And that's how they behave when you try and actually catch them.
The woylie is primarily a fungi-eating creature. It loves to eat truffles which grow underground. It has a special bacteria in its gut that breaks down the fungi and produces useful byproducts that the woylie can digest for a more balanced diet, as it doesn't eat greenery at all. In its short 7-year life, a woylie will shift up to 5,000 tonnes of material as it hunts for its favourite food. And there is an interesting connection between the woylie, the truffles and deadly poisonous plant species.
We've got some woylie digging activity here, and it's a really interesting patch of bush because we've got animals that have been digging in amongst these particular plant species, which are the poison species. This is heartleaf poison.
You see, the woylie, like some other animals, can eat poisons that would kill you or me. It also kills foxes and cats.
One of the reasons they managed to hang on in an area where they were under attack is because of some of the flora that occurs in the Perup. They're actually pea plants that produce a toxin called sodium monofluoroacetate. And before you get scared by that, it's actually commercially produced as a poison called 1080. And 1080 is perhaps our main weapon of being able to control feral animals in the southwest of Western Australia, over much of the continent indeed. So we have this link between this toxic plant and between an animal that's actually feeding on these truffles. And the link is quite circular. These plants, our native fauna, have grown up with plants that naturally produce 1080. It means they have a very high resistance to this toxin, and it means that we can use it to poison animals that haven't evolved with this toxin, that have been introduced from overseas they're very sensitive to it, and we can poison and control those animals without affecting our native fauna.
In fact, 1080 is so potent, if a cat or fox kills and devours a woylie that has consumed some of this plant, the cat or fox itself would die.
And so fox numbers are probably not as high as they were in other areas in the Parrot, and that's why these animals just managed to hang on. Very fortunate, very lucky.
The woylie used to range across Australia from east to west, from north to south. But in the early 1980s, it was realised they were on the verge of extinction and only survived in 3 small patches of forest in the southwest of Australia. And immediately a plan, Operation Foxglove, was put in place to save this smallest kangaroo. Once the fox eradication plan took effect, the woylies started breeding like woylies.
They're always pregnant, so they can produce many young over a very short period of time. Over a year, they might have 4 young. They have what's called diapause. They can have a fertilised egg within them, and they can hold that egg in stasis while they've got a pouch young. As soon as the pouch young is fully developed and leaves the pouch, the already fertilised egg starts developing very quickly, so they've got the ability to increase in numbers over, very substantially over a very short period of time. And that's what happened.
And now Mark and Professor Bradshaw and their team spend their days and nights trapping, processing and releasing these remarkable little animals. They are very encouraged by the amount of native species that are returning to the area, but they must remain vigilant and ensure that the ferals don't return.
We're actually going to lay traps there.
Now it's a waiting and watching game, watching for feral animals and making sure they don't get a foothold again, and waiting for the mini marsupial numbers to increase to sufficient numbers that they can be taken off the endangered list.